Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a great show for you today as we continue to talk about the issues that matter the most. Let's first talk about what's going on with Travis McMichael. This was the young white male that was convicted for killing Ahmaud Arbery. He fired the fatal shot that killed this black man that was running through the Georgia neighborhood that got him, his father, and a neighbor all convicted. Mr. McMichael is now sentenced for a second life sentence again. And we'll talk a little bit about the impact of that. Also, let's talk a little bit about medium. I know there has been a lot of conversation about content on certain media spaces, but what about the mediums themselves? We'll have a discussion about it. Plus, we got some things for trends folks that doing the most and a whole lot more. So stay with us. That's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and being with us this afternoon. Folks, we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. First and foremost, the big news that is coming out of Georgia. The fact is that Mr. Travis McMichael, this is one of the individuals responsible in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, the black man that was killed while running through a Georgia neighborhood. Georgia father and the son has been sentenced to life for hate crimes in Ahmaud Arbery's death. However, it was Travis McMichael that shot Arbery during that encounter and has garnered him a second life sentence where he is going to be serving life plus 10 years in the state prison. So now that news has come across the wire. Many people are saying, okay, it looks like justice is possibly served, but there's still concern from the Arbery family that this is not enough, considering that the Arbery family has alleged that the prosecutor in the case has done some level of cover-up to protect the father and the son in this situation. Let me just share with you a little bit about this. Keenan and Lisa, if we can post this screen quote about them. On Monday, several members of the Arbery family asked the judge to impose the maximum sentence and insisted he serve his time in state prison. Now, while Monday's sentencing hearing signaled the end of the lengthy legal process for Arbery's killer, his mother, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, she noted that former Glenn County District Attorney Jackie Johnson is still awaiting trial on charges of violating her oath of office and hindering a police investigation. Prosecutors allege Johnson used her position to protect McMichael and his son. It is also said that Cooper Jones says she'd like to see consequences for Waycross Judicial Circuit District Attorney George Barnhill, who initially claimed that McMichael and Bryant acted in self-defense. As according to Ahmaud Arbery's mom, she said, the journey is not over. We still have more to do, she said at a press conference following the McMichael's sentencing. Folks, let's jump into this conversation. We want you to join us in this discussion as well. So make sure you post your comments on our Facebook page, as well as all of our streaming platforms, especially if you're streaming from blackstarnetwork.com. I want to bring in my culture crew member for the day, Jules P., who is a hip hop artist and activist, to get his take on this new legal development, a development that many people foresaw happening as a result of the intense nature of this federal hate crime. Jules, it's always good to talk to you on Monday, brother. How are you this afternoon?
What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm good. Hey, Jules, first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about your thoughts around this Arbery case. Travis McMichael gets a second life sentence. This is the son. His father is already in prison. The Roddy Bryan, who is the neighbor, is already in prison. Do you think that justice has been served for these killers?
I mean, if you want to look at it from recent years, I mean, we're getting more than what we got in the past. That's always a step forward. And when you can get, actual sentencing and actual penalties for, killings of unarmed Black men, to actually take a step forward. And that finally happens where we're getting the actual sentencing now from, judges and juries. It's actually a step forward. So, because there's plenty of cases still that we don't have any settlements on or, any type of prosecution in motion for these type of killings of unarmed Black men. So the fact that we actually gotten, we're getting more and more recently, I'll tell you it's a step forward. I agree with the family. I think that it's kind of sort of like one of those situations where you see it affect us the most is the fact that you're really arguing to protect somebody against killing us. Like that's the part that really, whether it's on camera, whether it's not on camera, I mean, it just doesn't matter. Like the fact that there's really argument against it, and that's causing more of an uproar. So yes, the sentencing is worthwhile. Yes, he got the second life sentence. Okay, but the fact that there was, the family is still saying, hey, let's go after these prosecutors because they're actually they're trying to protect him from his sentencing and from the actual crime committed. I mean, Ahmaud Arbery was just jogging in the neighborhood, and y'all felt like y'all was Cape Crusaders to go track him down and kill him, talking about there were robberies in the neighborhood or crime in the neighborhood. Y'all felt like he was a part of it. Like, I just, there's no justified reason. So your life sentences are well-deserved, long overdue, but they're well-deserved. I mean, it's sad that it's 2 years later, but I mean, understanding the court systems and how long legal processes take to, prove all the facts and evidence, we have a ruling. So, I mean, 2 life sentences, I mean, let's celebrate that. But I do also agree with the family. It's like, let's take a realistic step back and look at like, why we really, I mean, I get arguing both sides when you go to court, but I mean, come on, like it's just getting stupid at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things for me, Jules, is the simple fact that one, that the prosecutors even tried to, or the judicial folks in this case, in this county, even tried to cover up this situation. If y'all remember, it wasn't for weeks until they were finally brought into a police department. It was a good length of amount of time between the actual killing and the fact that they weren't even. I mean, it was crazy, Jules. They weren't even really looked at. They weren't arrested like moments after or a day or two after. It took weeks. And so when you look at this situation, it just speaks of racism. It speaks of corruption. It just speaks of a lot of things that America often tout itself as being past. And I think this case right here in particular was just so blatant. And the other part about it, this was all happening during the day.
Yeah.
This wasn't even like the middle of the night. This wasn't like a Black man running, jogging in the during the nighttime hours, which people do, right?
Right.
But this all happened during the day. And it's like, you chase him down, you beat up on him, and then you shoot him. It just sounds like something out of 1922 versus 20, or 1920 or 1921 versus 2020, 2021. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think that's another point. Like I agree with, because if you think about it, I love the South. I love traveling. I love Atlanta. I love Georgia. But again, it's taking place in Georgia, and Georgia's kind of been a hotbed as of recently of just laws or things passed recently. Like it's just something about Georgia. It's just like they're at the forefront of still keeping the South the South. Like it's
Right.
something going on down there where certain things are still acceptable. So you tracking down a Black man, shooting and killing him, in their mind, like you said, the fact that they weren't detained right away when it happened meant, oh, this is acceptable. This is fine. This is what we do down here. And it's like, can we get away from that mentality? That would speed up the process a lot more of actual corruptness going on around the country, because that's still a mindset in some states and some cities. I'm not going to blame the whole state of Georgia, of course, but just in certain cities, certain counties across the nation, that's still acceptable. And we got to get past that part. And then we'll have the actual justice. Until we get past that part, we'll never see the actual justice we deserve for the type of things that we're having to deal with as unarmed Black people in this country.
Let me ask you this though, Jules. Do you feel like with Stacey Abrams running for office again, getting into the governorship, I mean, she's got the She got through the primary. You think that she's going to make the type of impact that where Black people essentially feel safer?
So I'm always biased about that type of information of when somebody who is our community leader runs for office. I feel like I love the fact that they get a position, but I love
Yeah.
them more on the groundwork of the streets that they've been doing, because they get more accomplished that way. Like when you're taking now a position in office, now you're gonna be getting pulled from different other avenues that you can't just focus on the sole issue that you went in there going at, because you're getting pulled to do so many other things in your city, in your county, in your state. So I love the fact that she's getting that high rank position and she'll be able to bring legislation. But I feel like she's been so pivotal to the groundwork of what's going on in Georgia. Like I love that part about her, and I'm like, that's the part of her that I want. Like that's why I'm torn in between the two, because it's like I've seen it with people that I personally know that have taken on a political office or a position in council, and it's like, yeah, like I love it. I love the fact that she got that, but it's like the sense, man, when we was on the streets, like that was when we was really being able to put the work. There was no overhead. There was no, all right, I got to do this, but I'm getting pulled here, I'm getting pulled there. I'm literally able to focus on an issue and get change. So, I mean, I'm kind of torn, but you know, I'm rooting for the sister because I love everything about her. I'm rooting for her.
Yeah. Looks like we're just having some technical difficulties with hearing a little bit of Jules. So let's see if we can work out those kinks. But I totally agree with you on that respect. In that respect, Jules. Let's go to the lines and hear what people got to say. And I would love to get some comments in. Folks are checking in right now. It's Culture Crew, my online Culture Crew. Y'all know how we do. Make sure you post your comments. Let's jump right into it. Damon, my man Damon, good to hear from you today, bro. Happy Monday. Damon, you checked in and say they all need to go to jail. Facts.
Right.
Facts. They really should have gotten a death penalty, Damon. That's how I feel about the whole situation. They should have gotten a death penalty. This is a federal hate crime case, Jules. So, you know.
Can we talk about that? Because that's what I like. So
yeah,
what is the rules of the death penalty in different states? Because I feel like when you take a life, you reserve your life. Like I just like, what are the rules? Like where are we?
You know, it depends on the state.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it still depends on the state. Still depends on the state. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, certain states like Maryland, where the death penalty is abolished, and then other states, you know, you can still get it.
Right.
So it really depends on the states. But there has to be, I think that because of the nature of this case, the savagery of this case, you know what I mean, and the level of corruption behind it, something more. I mean, look, they're not coming home.
Right.
Most likely, the father of Travis, they all pretty much going to die in jail. They're not coming home.
Right.
They're not. Their life is over. So it's just, you know, we just gotta. It is what it is. But you know, in the cases like this, I'd have no tears, no crocodile tears at all, bro. No crocodile tears. Janae, happy Monday. Good to hear from you, Janae. You say near 3 months waiting because Jackie, the co-conspirator, needs to be in jail, lose her ability to adjudicate in Georgia and everywhere else. Facts.
Right.
Facts. That's what it comes down to. That's exactly what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? When you have that level of cover-up and conspiracy, that's the problem. That's just as much as the problem as the people who actually committed the crime. I mean, she committed a crime too by covering up. So, Janae, I'm with you all the way, sis. Thank you for checking in. Sophia, you checked in. It's always good to hear from you. You said, in a matter of perspective, if people are doing the same things their second and third level grandparents did, and it took months for them to get arrested like it did back in the 50s and 60s, you know, and that's the piece. That is the piece. That is the piece. And like you said, Jules, the fact is that you got states, and I always go to my favorite, you know, you got Georgia, you got Alabama, you got Florida, you got Texas. They still operating like it's 100 years ago, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to like hate crimes. They still operate like it's 100 years ago.
Like it's
they still going by the laws on the books. And here's my thinking on this real quick, y'all. My thinking is, if you are running for a state legislation, and it might be a moot point, but it may be a moral victory more than anything. If you're running for a state position, in states that you know are racist and you are a black candidate, why don't you just bring it up into your proposal saying, hey, and along with my platform, let's look at some of these old ass laws that keep black people in a certain place, right? Where we still have to, fight for our humanity. Like, get that stuff off the books.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying, we know that, for example, we all talked about it. The Constitution said deems black people to be 3/5 human beings. I wish somebody would have just keep kind of pounding that. Maybe that's a part of the reparations conversation that we need to have to say, hey, we're not 3/5 of a human being. Along with the reparations of land and money and all of this other stuff, y'all need to take that out the Constitution. Because we taxpayers, we fight in your wars, we do everything else. So damn, we need 3/5. That has to be amended, change something.
That's crazy.
But on the state side, it's going to be much easier. Bring it up.
Yeah.
Show the hypocrisy of the policies. That way, people know, be like, damn, I'm living in a state where laws from the 50s, 60s, 100 years ago, still on the books, and it's still being applied, and they're still used for technical purposes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, it's just something I always thought I was interested that, like, we all focus on moving forward, but somebody got to do the work of repairing the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that comes from state legislators, black political leaders, whoever, but somebody needs to bring up. And those states that are known to be racist, start taking some of those racist laws off the books, man. Jules, you got the final word, bro.
Speaking on that point, it's like, so what else do we have to do? Because what if, and like, again, I'm not in these states. So what if they did have state legislation that passed it up to get to Congress and then they denied it? And like, what I'm saying? Like, I think about like something like so weird is like, what are we not hearing about? Like, why is it still operating like it's the deep antiquated South with, like it's still the Confederate South? Like, why is it still acceptable to have in certain cities and certain counties that they're still allowed to do these type of things? Like, I feel like that, I don't know, like in a country where we're supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, where all these laws and rules are passed on a daily debate, we're having all this legislation, all these meetings in Congress. It's like, how are we having all this to go for? Like you said, I agree 100%. How are we having all these rules and laws and meetings to go forward, but we still can't fix what's in the past because the past is documented as saying, hey, you're still 3/5 of a person. Hey, this is still acceptable. Hey, when you're committing a crime, we're not going to get you right away. We're going to wait till a due process and fight on your behalf to see if you really did it or not, even though we know you did it. Like, why is that still the mindset and thinking of this nation? Like, I don't agree. Like, I think that's what's throwing it off, where we can never progress if we still have those laws. Like, if I'm labeled as a bad person, I can't move forward if you're going to keep on labeling me as a bad person. I have to get you, hey, he's changed, he's turned around, he's did his thing, he's gotten leadership, he's gotten counseling, and now he's on the right path. That's the way that we have to go. But if the fact I'm still looked at as a bad person for my past, that's the same way these states are going to operate.
Absolutely. Well said, bro. Well said. All right, folks, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's have a conversation. Speaking of murder, let's talk about the murder rate. I'm going to share with you some surprising news that has come out of the FBI just a couple of days ago about murder in the country. And more importantly, how we contextualize murder and the conversation about it. We'll have that discussion. So stay with us. A whole lot coming up in the second 30 of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be back.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Terrell Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. All right, let's talk a little bit about something that many of us might be surprised to hear. As we talked about what was going on with Ahmaud Arbery, on the flip side, did you know that the murder rate in the United States of America has actually dropped? Yeah, there has been a drop in murders, folks. And according to the FBI, who put out some of the latest data around this situation, take a look here. Check this out. Let's put that first quote up, please, Keenan. That the murder rate in the country, according to the FBI, nationwide shootings are down 4% this year compared to the same time last year in big cities. Now, murders are down 3%. 3%. If the decrease in murders continue for the rest of 2022, it will be the first year since 2018 in which they fell in the United States. The declines are small, but they are welcome news after 2 years of large increases left the murder rate nearly 40% higher than it had been. Now, in 2020 and 2021, folks, many people have said that the murder rate was extremely, extremely high. Now, that was due to a lot of issues, from everything from COVID to law enforcement dealing with the blowback from police protests. Check this out. Let me share with you this. This is what's up. Let's go to the second quote. 2020 was a chaotic year overall. With COVID, protests about police, and a presidential election, this turmoil fostered social discord and anonymity, which also could contribute to murders. As people lose trust in each other and their institutions, they are more likely to lash out in crime and violence. As the chaos recedes, the violence may be receding as well. So this comes from the New York Times. And as a result of that, many people are getting a very skewed view of murder in this country, so much to the fact that they believe that the country is more violent than it has ever been. You might be thinking that in your respective cities, your respective towns and states, that, you know what, murder has gone up, murder has gone up. And guess what? I'm so sorry to say this because I'm a part of it, but the media has not done enough to relieve us of the bad news. Now, that is one of the big reasons why we're having these conversations about murder so much. And there seems to be this view, this perception that murder is on the rise, that murder is happening around every corner, that murder seems to be the order of the day. And this bad news that is being perpetuated by media is often causing people to feel less safe. Now, also, let me just share this with you, as the New York Times put it out, that when the media reports, check this out, they said this, when the media reports on crime, and let's go to this third quote real quick, Keenan. When the media reports on crime, it almost always focuses on grim stories. Y'all, I'm sure many of you have known that. It always focuses on grim stories. A recent analysis by Bloomberg found that headlines about shootings in New York City recently increased, while the actual number of shootings remained relatively flat. The old cliche here is that if it bleeds, it leads. The constant stream of bad news is one reason experts say that Americans consistently say crime is getting worse when it is not. Between the 1990s and 2014, crime, including violent crime and murders, fell more than 50% across the U.S., yet for most of that time, a majority of Americans told Gallup that crime was up compared to the year before. The bad news bias potentially leaves Americans more scared for their safety than they should be. It also may drive more people to believe that punitive criminal justice policies are needed, or that reforms are increasing crime when they are not. Wow. Let's go to Culture Crew member Jules P. and let's hear what he has to say on this. Jules, are you surprised by the fact that people think that murder seems to be so rampant when in fact the FBI is saying it's not? Things are actually slowly, even though slowly and gradually, things are getting better. What's your take on that, bro?
Perception is reality. So when you,
Wow.
I agree with the news take. So if you're, look at the line, if it bleeds, it leads. So in cities that, well, in the city that we live in, if you start off the news with a shooting, okay, so let's start off with the 12 o'clock news. Let's just say there was a shooting let's just say the 6 o'clock news. Let's say there was a shooting in the afternoon. So the shooting, let's say, will happen around, around 2 o'clock roughly. So we get a notification on the little news apps, whatever, about that, like that. The 6 p.m. news, 8 p.m. news, and 11 p.m. news will all lead off with that shooting. And it's like, then it continues on to the next morning. We'll follow up because the morning news from the day before didn't get a chance to report and talk about it. And then we'll follow that story during the course of the day. Say we're still investigating that shooting. Then it goes to waste because there's another shooting. So it's like, it's literally the first story of every news broadcast. So across the country, I can say, hey, according to that report, it's down. But when you live in high crime cities or high crime areas, you don't feel that at all because that's all you see. We're coming off another violent weekend here in Baltimore.
Right.
And I can't say that I feel like, the crime is decreasing, it's going down, if that's what's perpetuated every time I wake up. I don't even have to get on the news because I don't even watch the news as much as I do. I have the apps. So first thing I look at when I scroll on my phone is my headline before I even get to my actual phone, the notifications on my home screen, 15-year-old girl. Like it's literally every day. It's something. And that's in high crime cities. So that's what we have to deal with. So according to the polls and across the country, okay, it might be down. And that's great. So the thing that I always say, and this is like, again, I can't think like a criminal, I can't think like a murderer, so I don't know what goes on their mind when they're committing these crimes. But in cities that have made changes, I feel like it's a brother help brother type of deal where what worked for you in your city and your state, bring that to the cities and states that are dealing with high crime. Because if it's working for you, there's something that was effective, whether it was a change in commissioner, whether it was a change in protocol, how your officers handle situations, whether you're opening up more community centers for youth to have places to go so they don't have to be involved in streets and crime and drugs. Like, what worked for you that can now help us get our crime down? Because I feel like we're dealing with repeat cycles in certain cities. It's like we feel like it will never change. Now, the country can say it's changed, but we looking from the outside in don't see that because we look from the inside out. We don't see that because we're dealing with it right here on a daily consistent basis. So I would love to say, hey, well, I heard in North Dakota, they had a murder in 3 months. That doesn't register to me as something I would care about when I'm dealing with something every 3 hours here. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's always something that brings you back to that negative space. So it's kind of like a social media driven world where that negativity attracts attention. So when something happens, we got to beat it and people say, like, this is what's going on. This is what you need to focus on. It happened in this area again. Oh my God, we had officers, but they run around. Like it's always something that's bringing that crime on the forefront of these certain communities. So like whatever you're doing in these areas that is working, be a brother, be a sister, bring that to, hey, let's network and link up. Well, let's try this. And then it's going to be trial and error because, again, what works for you is not going to always work for us. But let's do trial and error to help us get our crime down so we can also be a part of the majority instead of minority.
No, I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. First and foremost, I think that you're absolutely correct. I think that if you move from one city to another, you got to bring the energy of peace, right? You got to bring the energy of healing, and that you should be a part of that community of whatever new city, new space that you're in. You should be a part of the solution. But I do think that, and there's, I recognize this. I work in media, I work in news, I talk about this, and this is partly why, folks, I don't like to keep having certain conversations, even on this show, when I do my radio show. I don't like to have certain conversations about murder. I don't like to, because without, understanding how powerful the platform really is, and most importantly, how powerful perception is. Like you just started off your remarks saying perception is reality. That is true. Those of us in the media, we have to be more responsible in understanding that people, as much as they might say, no, this stuff don't influence me. We are influenced by this stuff. We are influenced by what we hear, by what is done. But most importantly, we're influenced by the platforms and the people who gives us the information, right? So it's like, if you're in Baltimore, you say, oh, yes, the Sun said. If you're in Los Angeles, hey, the LA Times said. You in New York, oh, the New York Times said. You know what I'm saying? Because we look at those sources as being credible, legitimate. Even if you hear on Black Star Network, so-and-so was talking about this, I heard. Or this was said, D.L. Hughley said this, or so-and-so said that. I mean, we give credence to it. So and I'm saying for us as Black folk, as Black media, we have to reshape the context in which we tell these stories.
Right.
If we continue to do what Fox and ABC and all of the other traditional news media outlets do, which is talk about Black death and constantly talk about Black death and constantly talk about Black death to the point where it almost becomes like, they use the term, and I can't think of it. It's like, you talking about like this death porn, where it's just this fascination. Like we always got to talk about the death. We always got. And I remember when I was doing my show on EAA in Morgan, and murders would be happening all the time in the city of Baltimore, and people would be like calling me up, "Hey, bro, Farajii, how come you ain't talking about the murders?" Well, what do you want me to talk about?
Right.
Man, these murders are crazy. And that's all you're going to say.
Right.
So you want me to use my precious airtime to talk about the murders to just say, man, that shit crazy.
Right.
Or you want me to use it to talk about other things? Because guess what? If you live in Baltimore, Detroit, some other city that has an issue with violence right now, it's not like you don't know murders are happening.
Right. There you go.
We got to do it. This is not to say that that's not important, but you got to give people something else to think on.
Right. That's the point.
Otherwise, when people tune in, they're going to be like, well, they talking about the same stuff that my homeboys and the neighbors and the coworkers are talking about.
Right.
I think, and y'all tell me if this is true or not, I think that a lot of Black people, we're tired of hearing about the murders of Black people, man. We know it's happening. But if there isn't any major development, any major action that's being taken to help to stop the murders, what are we talking about?
Right.
Seriously. We could talk about stop the violence efforts happening across the country in different cities. Like, okay, we can highlight those organizations like We Are Us or Peacekeepers or, Safe Streets or whatever the organization it is. But if you just want to talk about the murders, just to talk about the murders like it's some gossip, like I heard, then that conversation is not going to get us anywhere. And that's just that's my personal experience, Jules.
I agree with that 100%. I do. Like that's the epitome of the world that we live in. If I live in a city where we're heavily dealing with murder or violence or crime in general, but my media outlet and my platform give so much different perspective on life going on, Black art, Black culture, that's what I'm going to focus on. Because in a world of corruption, you need positive light. So if I keep on talking about the same thing that the news is talking about, and that what social media is talking about, and what your personal opinions are talking about, then I fall into the fray where I don't stand out. I've just joined the masses of discussing it. And then you're going to look at me. Then the next question is this, Farajii. So what are you going to do about it? Because we're not just going to be talking about it all this time and keep on bringing it up every Monday on the show. Hey, man, over the weekend, it was this many murders. Over the weekend, it was this many murders. Because the next question your viewers going to say, well, what are y'all doing about it? Y'all just sitting there talking about it. What y'all going to do about it?
Right.
So that's the space that you want to stay away from. The negativity drives headlines. I can tell you the funniest thing that happened was last week. We know Brother Roland, all the philanthropic things he does in the community for us. But the one time he claps back at somebody online, that's the headline. It's not about all the work that he does. It's not about the Black Star Network being a source of media for Black people to get their voices out there. It's not about nothing positive. The one time you clap back at somebody, oh, that's what we're going to talk about. And it's like, okay, that's the mentality now. Because it's like, you can't even do, the man has a whole positive platform of Black voices, giving Black culture, talking about different, I mean, we meet different actors, actresses, music artists, sports, and people in sports realm. What's going on in the community? What's going on in your states? Laws being passed, information that we don't know on a consistent basis because we don't get that from the news. So the media and the information that we're getting from this network that's positive, that's giving us a different mindset and a different holistic view of African-American culture. It's like the one time you clap back, it's like, oh yeah, but this is what he do, bro. That's him. Like, no, this is him.
Right.
This is what we do. And it's like, that is what the media portrays when it comes to the violence. So that brings it back to what I'm saying. Like, all right, if we talk about it, okay, fine. Me and Farajii come on every Monday, y'all, and talk about what happened in Baltimore, what happened in Chicago, what happened in Detroit, what happened all across this country in crime and violence. And y'all going to sit there in the comments and say, well, what y'all doing about it? All y'all do is talk about it. What y'all doing about it? But we're giving y'all this knowledge on this daily, consistent basis of so much going on in the culture, positive change. You're meeting people that have podcasts. You meet people that have businesses. You find out information. You find out about different marches and things going on in different communities that you can't find on the news. So that's what our job is, and we're going to continue doing that, pushing out the culture. That's what our purpose is. Let the media and the news do what they do, but we're going to continue pushing out that culture and change so you have a different perspective of, okay, yeah, they might be wilding out over there, but they also got this going on, so it can't be that bad. Like, it can't be just all violence and all murder all the time. Like, it's not safe, or it's a shooting zone every time you go outside. There's actually positive things going on.
And Jules, to that point, bro, that doesn't bring any peace of mind to Black folks.
Right.
This is part of my personal mission. You talked about us highlighting the culture. That's one part of the mission. But the other part of the mission should be when people, and I'm saying particularly for Black media, we should report the news as it is. We should give people the facts. We should provide some thought-provoking analysis. But at the end of the day, Black people should be able to tune into a Black media source, Black media space, and be able to find some level of peace of mind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we could talk about the negative parts, but you got to have a balanced view to talk about the positive parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we could talk about the murders, but let's put that in a certain context to give people hope instead of just creating a grim and gloomy picture that as soon as you walk out your door, you better watch out for that Black man. You should watch out for that Black woman, because guess what? The next Black person you see, they're going to take your life. That's not the picture that you want to paint. That's not the place you want to put our people in, where there's distrust, not just of the media source, but now you're creating distrust among the people themselves. That's not a good place. Not a good place at all. Let's go to some of the watchers, man. So many of y'all are checking in as always. I love my culture crew, my online culture crew, man. Y'all so insightful. Straight to the point. Rashida, good to hear from you, sis. You said it's hard to believe the media. You have to trust them with a grain of salt. I get it. I don't believe every media, right? I think that we need to make sure that we vet the information that we consume. You know what I'm saying? Like most of your traditional media, whether it's from like the Wall Street Journal or whether it's from the New York Times, New York Post, just keep in mind that when you are reading those papers, and especially about what's happening with life and death in this country, that they're going to have a bias. Just know that. They're going to have a bias. They're going to present the information with a certain slant. Just keep that in mind. The Final Call newspaper, one of the boldest Black newspapers that I know, gets straight to the truth. There are media mediums that get straight to it, but you gotta open yourself up to it. So I agree with you. I don't always trust every media outlet either, but I do keep in mind that if I'm reading something from Fox or some other place, they're gonna have a bias. Vela Kent is CISO. Vela, you checked in and said, look, I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it is the same way here, Jules. Multiple murders every day. Damn. I hear you. Vela, thank you so much, sis, for checking in. Brother King Lee, you my man, you said, Brother Farajii, there is not enough Black-owned media in the U.S. and globally. Some of our Black-owned media outlets need to respect their viewers and not disrespect their viewers. Facts. If y'all came here to tune in, y'all want to talk about Black death porn, that's what I'm gonna call that. Y'all want to constantly talk about Black people getting beat up, Black people getting killed, Black people going through horrendous pain, Black people getting locked up, Black people getting knocked in the head. If you want that tip, on that vibe, don't I can't help you. I'm not putting that out there. And I think, Jules, for all of us, right? We just got to say a line has got to be drawn. Fine, go to some other site for that shit, man. Don't come here. Because don't tune into the culture, because I'm not going to keep on putting, that does something to the mentality. And I've read books, I study a little bit of social science. That does something to your brain, man. And some of you got your children watching. Why would I put certain stuff on this platform when you got your children watching? When you got the babies watching? Here you are, you so excited because you got a Black-owned media institution and platform, and you got the baby, and then your first time that you're showing your son, who might be 13, 14, 15 years old, and then I'm constantly talking about how white people whipping our ass. I'm constantly showing videos of us just in some crazy madness. And then your son, he just looking. He like, damn. Nothing uplifting, nothing empowering, nothing enriching his life. Come on, man. We do ourselves a disservice, bro. What's your take on that, Jules?
Yeah, I was literally going to say the same thing. Like, think about it. When are you ever going to decompress if all you're getting is negative media? If all you're getting is negative news, you're never going to be able to decompress. So then that also travels with you from what you're watching on media to you dealing with your kids. You're going to start lashing out them more because you have so much built up, pent up anger and energy and emotion from saying the same thing over and over again. Then when you get to your jobs, you're not performing because your mindset is still stuck in that negative mindset, in that mind frame. So you never decompress and you're thinking about the positive things going on or the positive things going on in your community or the things even dealing with your personal space and personal being. You don't get a chance to focus on your inner self and how do you really feel, compress it, evaluate it, and say, all right, plan of action, keep on putting out positive. That's all you have to do. Keep on pushing positive. Every time you get combated with something negative, push out something positive. That's it. That's all. That's the simple. That's simple,
it, bro.
That's all you have to do.
All you got to do. Ming Lee, Natasha Surge, you checked in. You said that's because the Black media should stick together and build instead of making everything a battle. We don't have to always come from a space of conflict.
Right.
We don't. Tell our story. Our story is beyond is bigger than struggle, man. And I know it. I know we often say that the struggle. We got to fight. But our story as Black people in this country, and it's bigger than struggle. It's bigger than that. It's so much more to what's going on in this country. Now, if we look at what's happening with the murder rate, if we're looking at what's going on with how their story is told, I mean, our story is much bigger than that. Much, much bigger than that. All right, real quick, as before we take our next pause, I think I'm saying this name correctly. Sei, you said talking about death and being a witness to it on a daily basis, it becomes a social norm, sadly, that we become numb to growing up in New Orleans. I become numb to the violence. Facts.
Man.
Same here.
Man.
And
Man.
that's
That's
a place that you don't want Black folks to be. When you talk about murder, then the consequences of that is that people become desensitized
Oh my God.
to the loss of human life. And now you got to take those people and put them in a better place. Because once you become desensitized, you got to restore them. You got to bring them back to life to make them see the value of another Black man, another Black woman. Real quick, Juice, what's your take on that, bro?
That was the comment right there. You become numb to it. And that's what's sickening, because when you become numb to it, now that creates more violence, because now you don't even value life. You don't even value your life. So you damn sure don't value somebody else's life. So now you become a mental murderer, because it's so easy for you to kill off and get rid of people in your mind of when you see it on the news. It's like, damn, like, oh, another one. All right, I'm gonna go to the court now and play ball. Like, it's just like like, I feel like the saddest part is like, I feel like some people that have that mentality, it's like the only time they really feel like a sense of compassion is when it happens to kids, because they'll be like, oh, they couldn't defend themselves. But my thing is, what about those adults that were walking to the store that couldn't defend themselves, or that got caught in a crossfire, go to the grocery store, got, like, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't defend themselves either. So, like, don't just put it to kids. Have that same compassion for anybody that gets murdered or killed or is involved in a violent crime, because that's how you show empathy and compassion, and that's what you keep inside your body and your system. But once you lose that, like you said, you become numb. It just runs away now. Like, it's all right, well, it happened to them. Oh well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about this a little bit further, because there's another part of the conversation I think that we need to have. And this is more the philosophical side, folks. We started talking about it in this particular segment, but the next segment, let's talk about, I'm asking the question, does the medium in which you get your news and information matter? Because everybody's always been talking about content, but what about the actual platform where the content is distributed? We're going to have that conversation up next. Also in the next hour, let's talk about how Terrell Owens called out a Karen in his latest interaction with a white woman that just didn't know what to say, and she cried them crocodile tears, folks. But he put her on blast. So we'll talk about that and so much more. Stay with us. That's all happening in the next hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Terrell Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome to the second hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. And folks, if you did not know, the Black Star Network needs your support. We need your support more now than ever before. As you know, Brother Roland has been rocking and rolling, traveling across the country, putting out the good word of this Black media institution called the Black Star Network. This platform, this institution that continues to bring you the information, to continue to have the conversations that are important to you. And so guess what? We are still looking for your support right now financially. We want you to help us as much as you can, folks, as we continue to build. This doesn't mean that this is the end of the show. I know you often to say, oh, Farajii, you talk about that. But seeing the growth and most importantly, the demand for Black media now, this is important. So again, we ask that you give financially to help us in this great work that we're doing, providing a space, and most importantly, having you cultivating a voice for Black people that has yet to be fully heard in this country. So make sure you'll show your financial support for Black Star Network at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, folks, this other conversation that we started touching on a little bit in the previous conversation, talking about the murder rate and more importantly, the bad news bias that continues to control how our story is told, and most importantly, how the story of violence is told in this country. And it leads us to ask the question, does the medium matter? Medium being, does the platform matter? There has been a number of people who are saying, I didn't want to be the true. This is an op-ed that was written, but it said that the platform does matter. It's not just about the content. Like we can have a conversation, as this writer pointed out as in his op-ed, we can have a conversation about television and not just a television show. Let me just share with you what they said, and then I want you to give me your thoughts. You can post your comments on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page. You can definitely let us know what your thoughts are. But does the medium matter? Let's post this first quote, Keenan. This comes out of that Ezra Klein. Ezra Klein is a opinion columnist for the New York Times. I listen to his podcast and often read his pieces. But this is what he said. He said, I didn't want it to be true, but the medium really is the message. He said, we've been told, take a look, we've been told and taught that mediums are neutral and constant, and content is king. You can't say anything about television. The question is whether you're watching the Kardashians or the Sopranos, Sesame Street or Paw Patrol. To say you read books is to say nothing at all. Are you imbibing pot boilers or histories of 18th century Europe? Twitter is just the new town square. If your feed is a hellscape of infighting and outrage, it's on you to curate your experience more tightly. As we're also pointing out this, check this out. He said, there is truth to this, of course, but there's less truth to it than to the opposite. McCullen's view is that mediums matter more than content. It's the common rules that govern all creation and consumption across a medium that change people and society. Oral culture teaches us to think one way, written culture is another. Television turned everything into entertainment, and social media taught us to think with the crowd. Wow. As I said, all this happens beneath the level of content. CNN and Fox News and MSNBC are ideologically different, but cable news in all of its forms carries a sameness. The look of the anchors, the gloss of the graphics, the aesthetics of urgency and threat, the speed, the immediacy, the conflict. Wow. Media. That is the name of the game. It's not just about content. It is also about the platform. And that's why we are talking about this, because the platform matters just as much as the content. When you, for example, we talk about Black Star Network, if you know anything about history, you know that that this platform is a homage to the thinking of great revolutionary and visionary minds like the Honorable Marcus Garvey and others, that there's a certain level of independence that comes with this platform, that we can have a conversation about, you know, politics of the day, educational issues, healthcare disparities, and all of those things. But because they're on a platform called Black Star Network, it's going to be, those conversations are going to be curated. Those discussions are going to be handled with Black people in mind. And I'm saying for the best, for the benefit, for the enrichment, for the enlightenment of Black consciousness. That matters a lot. But what's your take on it? Join us in the conversation. Post your comments, Culture Crew, to Facebook, YouTube, and let's bring back our Culture Crew member. He's a hip hop artist. He's an activist. Jules, what do you make of this idea? Does the medium matter?
The medium does matter. So I was thinking of funny examples when you were reading it. So like, let's take ESPN, for example. We know they're going to talk about sports, but not only are they talking about sports, it's coming from credible sources. They don't just bring anybody from the barber shops and in the neighborhoods talking about what they saw in the game last night. Credible sources, journalists, communications, like they created a whole platform where you're getting the actual stats and reports directly from the sources. Okay, so let's take that for example. So that's the medium. Let's take Fox News. I mean, you know,
right?
You know, Fox News. We ain't got to talk about it. We don't watch it. But, you know. We all know. So, you know, all right, next. Black Star Network, exactly what you just focused on and talked about, and what we just talked about in the last segment. What our platform is, what the shows are curated to do, what information they're trying to put out there, okay? I feel like the medium is the most important because you can have a network or you can have a station or you can have a channel and then you can drive off anytime the ship to go and join the negative. And then now you do become the credible source. You just come in part of the norm and try to do what everybody else is doing. The negative headline that we discussed earlier is what's selling. So if that negativity sells, you started off with the idea like, hey, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. This is what I'm going to focus on. And then as soon as you see that your ratings and your network ratings are going down, it's like, all right, well, let me focus on the stuff that people are talking about, that negative thing that's popping, that's going to make my ratings and my network get its fame and its publicity, and let me put that out there as the leading source. Or let me create and get the shows that are like the Kardashians, that are like the Sopranos, that are like the Sex and the Cities, to now take away from the basis of what my network was created for, and now let me put that on there so I can get ratings. Everything is about ratings. It's like if you don't have ratings, then you don't have a job. There's ways to do this, and it's called creating that space in your own space to thrive in. It's not going to be a microwave process. Sometimes it's going to be a crock pot. It's going to be a slow cooker. Most people want that microwave success when they create something. They want to be popular right away. They want the success right away. All of these networks didn't start off like that right away. They built their brand. They stuck to it. And over time, then they gain that traction into getting into those spaces where they're able to get to those platforms and those actual networks that are now buying into them because of the hard work that they put in. But now everybody wants to be in this microwave world where I'm going to start off this way, but since this don't work, I'm going to jump right to the negative, and that's going to get me out there. Yeah, that fame lasts for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then you know what happens? You get drowned out by everybody else talking about the negative. So if y'all talking about the same thing, now you get lost in the sauce. So I could tune into the culture to hear about the positive stuff, but since they talking about the violence, well, I might as well watch the news, or I might as well go on Shade Room, or I might as well go to these other sites that are doing that same thing that's more access and feasible. Why would I want to wait every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. to listen to the culture talk about it when I can scroll right on Twitter and see it, or I can scroll right on Instagram and see it? So that's where you lose the credibility. We're bringing something to the table that's different. So that's why I say the medium does matter, because the type of the content that we're putting out there, not even just focus on the culture, but whatever your space and media is, if that's what you're pushing, that's what your medium is for you to work and continue to contribute to that aspect of it.
Yeah, bro. And I think that that's part of the reason why we need to have this conversation, right? Like, because I think that we underestimate the power of the medium, right? Because everything, let's keep it a buck. Everything has become a form of propaganda. And as a student of communication, as a student of journalism, you know, we often, and I see this often in Black media, we talk about, you know, the importance of adhering to journalistic ethics and standards, right? Just sticking with the facts, not going too deep in it. And in this platform, on this show, we provide opinion, right? So we stick to the facts, but even in your analysis and your opinions, let them be rooted in something factual, right? Like, don't you just can't come up on here and just talk and be like, bop, bop, bop. And then next thing you know, it's not rooted in anything. You know what I mean? It can't be researched. You just giving wrong information. So there are some standards by which we need to operate from. But at this point, it's just simply about making sure that people understand that all of these platforms have an aim and goal. All of these platforms have interests. Whether you're talking about Fox, whether you're talking about CNN, you're talking about Black Star, whether you're talking about the Griot, you're talking about the Root, Essence, doesn't matter. Everybody has an interest. Everybody has a target audience. And it can't just be about the content. The content is going to be shaped by the interest of the platform. And I think that a lot of people should know that. The content will be shaped. How the story is told, how the conversations are had will be shaped by the interest of the platform that these stories are told on, that these conversations are had on. So I think that that's the best thing. Let's go to Skinner. Let's get some comments from our audience, because people are checking in about this. Does the media matter, folks? Mainly Natasha Serge, you checked back in and you said, look, if Black media could pool their resources and build together, no telling what is possible. That's true. Hey, check this out. Mainly Natasha Serge, I always thought this to myself. When there are national tragedies related to Black people, in every Black space, every Black media outlet should have some connection. Now, this might be unrealistic, but for example, let's take the killing of our people at Tops Supermarket in Buffalo. We all talked about it as Black media, all of us. Whether you're talking about radio, television, newspaper, internet, podcast, we all talked about it. But, and I don't know if this is going too far, so check me if you think this is going too far. We talked about it from a various vantage points, but I don't think that we put out there a unified solution. We could talk about it from various vantage points. We could talk about the fact of access to guns. We could talk about how Black people have been subjected to this level of terrorism for 100 years in this country. We could talk about the fact that this white killer went to a Black girl. We could talk about all the different elements, but I don't know if we had a unified voice about how to handle certain things like that. And I don't know, and y'all tell me, I don't know if it's even necessary for us to have a unified voice like that. But when there are national tragedies, Black people, Black media in particular, need to be, I think, having like a one voice approach to telling their part of our story. Jules, what's your take on that?
I think that would be a good idea. I don't say nothing's impossible. I mean, I do agree with you. It's probably going to be a difficult in the aspect of, it's like, it has to be done with, I guess, unified energy. And when I say unified energy, we're not all rushing to the source for these different media routes to say, I'm getting my own personal takes and my own personal interviews so I can then boost my platform. It has to be a space created where we're all able to just go into the same pot. I mean, I like, to me, talking about it, yeah, I agree with it. But I'm now sitting here, as you brought it up, I'm thinking of the way it would actually possibly work, where when a tragedy like that happens, like even taking it back to the Dylan Roof in South Carolina at the church, is like, right, where our Black media can have that space from all across the nation, not even just in South Carolina, where we're coming from Baltimore, where we're coming from LA, where we're coming from Philly, where we're coming from Miami, where we're coming from Chicago, wherever the Black media is at, we're all now in that space, creating that now, hey, this is what we're unifying. We're going back to, it's getting to the space of that positive light to, give healing, give hope, give empathy to the ones who lost their lives, and then also to come together and say, hey, and we're not going to tolerate this going forward. So now your next, whoever's thinking about next, you ain't in that space. We showing up. We on 10 foot down. We in there. Even if it's not even just Black media, Black organizations. Like if I was still, we 300 were still together and we were able to show up at that type of thing when it happened. It's like, oh, they ain't playing. This is for real. This is how they're standing up. They're standing up to the nonsense. They're standing up to the BS. This ain't tolerated. So I mean, I want to see how that works. Like I want it to work, but I don't know how. Like my mind is like, all right, like let's strategize and mobilize and think of how we create that space where we're all able to link up together. And when the issue arises, which we hope, in my opinion, we hope doesn't have to be too many issues in our future. Like let's hope that it just stops. And I know we live in a realistic world where there's going to be crime, there's going to be things, there's going to be different things to deal with in the media, but in the instance that it happens, what's that space for us to create and link up together and then go out there and 10 toes down, we're on the front lines together as medium, creating the stories so the narratives don't get drawn against us. And
that's a great point. That's a great point. I think the other part about it is, and this is something that Brother Roland often talks about, you're trying to get ad dollars. Like some Black media, they're Black on the outside and that's as far as their Blackness goes, right? Mm-hmm. Some Black media, when you're talking about, see the other Black media as being competition.
Right. And that's the issue.
And getting money, you know what I mean? Getting ad dollars, bringing in some level of revenue, and all of those things. Like, so Black media is see, oh no, you don't have to tune into this one, tune into me over here. And I think we do ourselves a disservice in that respect, right? Because the Black media community is so small. Now, this ain't like the 50s and the 60s. One of the things that I do, appreciate about that part of our history is that when we were forced to be together, you know what I mean? When things weren't integrated, we were forced to be together. We produced.
Mm-hmm.
We produced a lot for our people. So, along with the small towns and the Black professionals and the growth of the Black middle class and all of those things started to happen, it forced us to think independently, right? Mm-hmm. And we were doing it in a phenomenal rate, Jules, just coming out of chattel slavery. Then you get into that period where we started to do it. And that's where the hatred started to stem. That's why Rosewood and other small towns and Tulsa and other small towns started to get destroyed and bombed and all of those things, because we just got out of chattel slavery just the day before, just kind of like speaking. But we just got out of slavery, and then 20, 30, 40 years down the road, we're producing. We've established small towns. But that during that period, we also saw this level of Black folks saying, you know what, we're going to stick together. We're going to tell our own story. So you had the Pittsburgh Carrier and other Black publications that came to light as a result of that, right? It's like Black folks that got put out of the white churches. We started what? The AME, you know what I'm saying? And then we started our own church network. Same thing with the media. We weren't allowed in the media spaces. We weren't allowed to write for the big newspapers. We weren't allowed to report. So what we do, we decided to tell our own story. Right. And somewhere along the line, that was disrupted. Somewhere along the line, the shiny reality of working for a quote unquote major newspaper versus your own newspaper, which was considered to be, which has been seen as a minor thing, became a little bit more appealing. The incentives became a little bit stronger. Where if you work for this publication or if you work for this station, and we lost something in that process, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like we really lost the ability to speak our mind, to tell our story, to express our truth.
Right.
And so, we just have to work our way back into that. We probably have, and I'm sure you're probably aware of this, we probably have more podcasts, Black podcasts, Black websites, you know what I mean, that report news than we probably ever had in the past 20 to 30 years.
Right.
But there's still some barriers from keeping us being on the same page. And I think that's the bigger goal of Black media. It's not just establishing a platform. That's one thing, and that's important. But the next step is, how do you establish a network where we can help Black people to get, it's like back in the day, if you during the 50s and 60s and 70s, if somebody died in Alabama, you felt it in Chicago. If there was a lynching in Mississippi, you felt it in Los Angeles.
Right.
Creating a network. And I might just be, pushing out too many big things, and y'all tell me that. But I'm just saying, like, creating a larger network where we're not competing against one another, but we are working arm in arm, hand in hand. We're walking right along each other and said, all right, you got that covered? All right, let's move on. So you in the South, let's connect with this small radio station in the southern part, because they in Georgia, they talking about this. You up north, you know what I'm saying? Like that level of network building. And I think that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, we need to stop getting away from the breaking down each other and start to build a network, a media, a Black network. And I'm not talking about just a station. I'm talking about a network where it includes radio, TV, newspapers, podcasts, everything.
Yeah. So I'm with you 100%. So here's my ideals while I'm sitting here listening to you. Because, my mind's like, the problem that I had with you, Farajii, is you always get my mind working. So it's like now I was like, all right, I'm starting here. I'm getting ideas down. I'm like, all right, this is what I got pissed off Farajii. When we get off air, I got to call bro. Like this was some. All right, so here's something that I thought about. So you hit the nail on the head. So not only do we create that network, network is not talking about television. Network, exactly what you mean, an actual network. This is our LinkedIn, kind of sort of Black LinkedIn, whatever. But our network will now be created where we have the shows, the podcast, the newspaper, the journalism. So I was thinking, I love to write. Music aside, writing is my passion. But I hate when I go to different publications or look at them and they require you to have all this degree and background. Okay, that's fine. That's what your publication will require. I don't have a degree in journalism. I don't. So, but I can write my butt off. So let me show you how I would do it. So the same way when Kendrick Lamar first started rapping and Eminem was like, oh, that's you spitting? Okay, I hear you on the track, but you sitting right there in front of me. I'm going to play this beat. You're going to write this song right in front of me so I can see it. And then we're going to lay the song there. And the song became a huge major song. And it's like, that's how I want to do my journalism side of this network. So because I like to look at things, when I see headlines, I like to do the research. So whatever the headline says, I don't go with the headline. Let me tap in and look at 4, 5, 6 different resources so I can see what the actual gist of the story is. Let me get the actual facts. Let me get the opinions. And then let me create my own opinion and analysis. Then I like to write. So then that's what my getting into the journalism side would be. It's like, all right, if you want to be a part of this Black network, here's the topic right in front of me. I don't care what your degree is. I don't care how many doctorates and masters you got. I don't give a damn about that because that can mean nothing to me as long as if it ain't coming from the passion of you writing and you taking it, I don't give a damn about your degree. Let me hear this story. Here's the topic. Give me the story. Right then and there. And then we're going to rock and roll. And that's how you build that brand and network so everybody feels all inclusive. So there doesn't have to be, I have to have a degree. I have to be a bachelor. I have to be a doctor. I have to have a master's. Or I have to already done media space. It could be somebody that's never done anything in media, that's been thinking about it for 20, 30 years, had to raise their children, so had to get away from their own personal dreams of goals to raise their children. And then finally get to the point where they're able to do something. So, hey, you can't do it because you ain't got no experience, or you ain't got no background in this, or you don't have nothing on your resume that shows you was on this show, or you was on this paper, or you was in this publication. So it's like, I want to create this where it's all inclusive. Boom. This is where we're going to target it at, and that's how we're going to start it. That's just my mind working. Y'all can let me know how, whatever it is, my mind. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I feel you. All right, let's take some comments from our watchers. Taylor, you checked in. I like you. Hey, Taylor, I love how you said janky. I love the word janky, Jules. When people use janky, You just know it's about to be a whole problem. Janky and messy gets a following. We have to grow our folks up.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's real facts.
Yeah. Yeah, let me tell y'all something, man. Look, janky and messy stuff, man. We look, the difference between, I think, and this is all my years of working in media and black media versus in white media. The big difference is that as much as we are sharing and reporting, we also have to teach it and teach and empower, right? So you gotta like do both things with black folks, right? Because guess what? There has to be a deprogramming process that has to occur. So that way you're not coming to black media, for example, with the same ear or the same eye as you would white media.
Right.
Because we're telling the story from a different perspective. And most importantly, we're not the same. So you gotta tell a story, tell the facts, but then you gotta provide some analysis and context, because why? The media is so powerful that it will distort how you view your own story. Woo. I'm telling y'all, look, I'm studying this. I want to say that again. White media and its influence is so powerful, it will distort how you tell your own story. So if that's the case, and trust and believe it is, you got to go through like this deprogramming process. You got to be like, all right, I'm with black folk. Not to say we're going to give you less equality, not to say that we're going to cut back on anything, on the facts. It's just that we got to provide a different analysis to help you to understand. Because when you watch the 6 o'clock news, those stories are like 2 minutes long at most. The big stories are like 2 minutes and some change. And they go quick and they go fast. They don't leave you with too much room for you to think on your own.
Right.
They don't. They're not designed to do it. They're designed to get a message out. You consume, they give. What we do on black media is that we want you to consume, but think. Consume, think. Consume, think. That's the difference. So yeah, to Taylor's point, we got to grow you up. Not to say you're thinking small, because that's not everybody, but everybody comes watching and consuming at different levels. Taylor, I appreciate you. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Sophia, you checked in and said, hell yeah, we need a unified voice. Please let me know when these mother effers ever gave a damn historical. Dr. Clark said it best when we have no allies. Frederick Douglass said we wish to plead our own case. There it is. There it is. You know, that's the purpose of it. To plead our own case. Brother Roland said that at the very beginning of the establishment of Black Star Network. And that's something that will always be at the forefront of everything that we do. We have to tell our own story. We have to establish our own case. Let's continue to get the comments. Brother King Lee said, Oreo cookies are still a problem within the African diaspora. Shout out to Bing Lee, Natasha Surge, and to me. Hey, you're going to have that, King. You're going to have that. I don't think about them cats. I don't think about it. Bro, we got too much stuff happening right now, Jules, to be thinking about somebody who hates themselves. You know what I mean? To the point where, like, bro, if you want to go down that road, trust and believe, all you got to do is read history and you'll find what the end result is going to be on that. Danita checked in. You said, Farajii, you are so right, Taylor. What happened to the village concept? You don't always have to be number one alone. You can collectively be number one. I'm with you wholeheartedly. Danita. The whole thing, the whole idea, and maybe this is something like, again, might be me, Jules, and I might be too far radical in this, but we got to operate from a different space. Yes, I know ratings and revenue. Those are the two. I'll never forget Miss Kathy Hughes, the great Miss Kathy Hughes, the founder of Urban One. She shared with me, she said, Farajii, in radio, there are two things that matter. when I was working for her. She said, Farajii, ratings and revenue. And when she said that, it stuck with me. And she's right, ratings and revenue. However, if y'all support Black Star, or if y'all support Black media, Final Call, whatever the case may be, if you support Black media, the ratings and revenues, the way that we do ratings and revenues doesn't have to be the same the way white media stations do it. I used to work for WEAA, public radio station. We did fundraising drives each and every year, twice a year. People thought that that was a foreign concept, but if you go to any public radio station, every public radio station do that, right? They do it in a different way, but they ask for your support in the public radio space. And we think, well, why should I give y'all money? Because guess what? In this capitalistic society that we live in, if you don't put money where your mouth is, or more importantly, with money where your interests are, guess what? That platform, that space is no longer going to be yours. Yes, you could tune in. That's all well and good. But listening versus investing and supporting are two different things.
Right.
Listening is good, but when you put your money up, now you dictate the agenda. And why not? Let's be stakeholders. Y'all can buy stock in Pepsi. You can buy stock in Nike. You buy stock in all these other companies. Why wouldn't you want to buy stock in a Black platform that tells your story?
Right. There you go.
We want a piece of everybody else's company, but we want our companies to operate for free. Like, it don't work that way. It don't work that way. If you want our companies to thrive, our companies need to be supported. It's just that simple. Let's get one more in. Mike V, you checked in. You were talking to Brother King Lee. You say capitalism puts profits over communalism. You can't commune on toxic principles. Facts. You can't. You absolutely can't. Capitalism, let me just share this with you, Jules, and I know this is I'm gonna drop something, because I've been in this space lately over the past few days. When reading about this, I'm convinced capitalism is not natural. It's not a natural economic system for Black people, because it emphasizes the individual, where naturally we are a communal people. I'm gonna say that one more time. Capitalism is not a natural economic outgrowth for Black people, because it emphasizes individual accomplishments and achievements versus communal, collective accomplishments and achievements. And that's problematic. We can't operate that. It forces us to think outside of ourselves, to only think about ourselves. And that's against the nature of how we are.
Right.
That's the nature of how we are, bro. You got the final word. Talk to me.
I just think that, again, getting back to the whole idealistic view of this medium that we create, I mean, I do foresee it happening. I mean, I want us to be as much a part of it. I mean, not just because we're discussing it. I don't care to be, and again, I don't care to be the lead or the creator or the originator. I just want to be a part of it that actually creates change. If it becomes politics in between, I don't want it. I just want it to be a part of, if it's actually driving the change, it's actually creating the change in these communities, in these neighborhoods. So when it comes to national headlines that's affecting Black people, that we're a part of it, I'm all for it. That's big. But once it becomes like, if it's people fighting for power or this versus that, or now you're internally like creating a space against each other, then that's when I don't want to be a part of that. So the idea that you have, I want to be full locked in and go forward with, because again, as the Black medium that we already are consistently, and we've been consistently, like, I give you a credit, like I said, I've known you for daggone there 20 years. So the Black medium consistency that we've been, that's the space I want to continue operating. If it ain't that, I don't want it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, look, we got to take a quick pause when we move forward. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about, Jules, I got to get your take on T.O., Terrell Owens, and what he had experienced with dealing with his white neighbor. Man, oh man. Plus, I got to bring you up to speed on trends, posts, and doing the most. So stay with it. That's all coming up forward here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, I want to share with you the story of NFL Hall of Famer Terrell Owens, who got himself in a little situation a few days ago when he was simply doing something very, very simple. And, you know, when we hear about these cases of white women calling the police or feeling like their lives are being threatened, is oftentimes rooted in some unrealistic fear. And most importantly, it creates a lot of chaos and confusion. Well, Terrell Owens wasn't having it. He went on, he used the tool that so many people have decided to use today to point out the hypocrisy and to make sure that it's on record that he's not with the shits. He had a situation where he was just simply driving to get his mail, folks. Check this out. He said this. He has an 11-minute video that he posted on his Instagram page where he documented this interaction between the police and his white neighbor who called them and made the point that Karen is real. Here's what happened. It allegedly started after he was seen driving to his mailbox in his Florida neighborhood. That's where he messed up at, Florida. Jules, that's where he messed up at, bro. That's where he messed up at, man. He's in Florida.
That sucks.
I'm sorry, bro. That's what, we hear so many cases down in Florida, man. May God be with our people in Florida, boy. Damn. Look, he was driving to his mailbox in Florida, and his neighbor, I don't even know the lady's name. It was just reported she was a Karen, apparently, said that he was driving too fast down the street. She can be heard accusing Terrell Owens of harassing her and almost hitting her with the car. Mm. So she decided that she needed to bring the police into the situation. We got a video of this interaction. We got a short version of this video we want you to take a look at, folks. Check this out.
Yes, we are live. We are live, and we got the police and everything. We got the police and everything. I'm good. What's up, sir?
What's going on, folks?
I'm driving to my mailbox. She telling me I'm speeding, telling me to slow down.
Slow down, and he rolled down his window and he started harassing.
First of all, I didn't harass you. She telling me to slow down. I said, what do you mean slow down? I said, yo, I'm just going to the mailbox. Then she goes, get the out the middle of the road.
Across the street and you almost hit me.
First of all, I almost hit you. Now you just making up stuff.
No, I literally
Just like a Karen.
You almost hit me.
How did I almost hit you and I'm going to the mailbox?
I was a Karen.
Yeah, I'd call you a Karen when I came over here after you said I called the police. Absolutely. Then you went on to say, oh, I'm the subject of the HOA meeting, this and that and the other. I got liens and shit on my house, this and that and the other. Then you start bringing up my status, who I was, my HBO, my VH1. You the one brought it up, lady. I did it. You did it. You did.
Hey, folks.
First of all, I didn't almost hit her. Sir, no, I'm fine, sir. First of all, I didn't almost hit her.
I understand that. Just relax.
You're not finna sit up here.
He ran the stop sign.
Well, there is no stop sign. What are you talking about?
I understand that. Where you hit?
I wasn't, but I asked him to slow down, and he got out of his car and started harassing me. He put his car in park.
Right, because you're gonna yell at me and telling me I'm almost hit you, and I didn't.
But you didn't have to get out of your car.
You didn't have to talk to me that way either, Karen.
A black man approaching a white woman.
First of all, you had your boy right here, your husband right here. So first of all, I don't do that type of stuff.
Relax.
You did. You put your car in park and you came
Yeah,
at me.
First of all, I didn't come at you.
Yes,
you
you did.
You can stop all of that, Karen.
Okay, listen.
Get out of here with all of that.
Listen, if you guys want me here, I can solve it.
He literally came after me.
Here she crying. There's Karen. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Swear to God, I've never been a part of nothing like this. I've seen it.
Do you have your ID?
I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it, but this is firsthand.
And now he's on live.
Oh boy, as she's crying. Oh my God, this is real. This is real. This is real. Here you go. Here you go, sir. This is real. This is real. This is real. This is real. I've seen it, but I've never been a part of this. This is real life. And now she's crying. Her husband tried to tell her to go in the house, but no, she wanted to do the whole Karen thing. So I'm gonna be here with my camera to show everything.
Look, the only reason I'm laughing, hey Joe, the only reason I'm laughing, bro, is because, I mean, it is funny that she's screaming, you got out your car and you came after me. You're a black man coming towards a white woman.
Right. Listen.
But check this out. I think she knows that who he is.
Yeah.
She knew who he is. So the thing is, like, there's always, even when you see some of our high profile members of the community, get into situations like this, I always think in the back of my mind, but suppose it was to be a brother that you didn't know.
Right.
The situation could have gone left. You know what I'm saying? Like, real quick. But because it's Terrell Owens, you know that he ain't gonna put himself in a situation where hopefully that he starts harassing and badgering and threatening a white woman on camera. Come on, man. Come on. But what do you make of this situation, man?
If you don't want your neighbors all up in the HOA meetings, all releasing your status of who you is in the neighborhood, come to death. All right, listen. I was watching this video. So when it happened, I think it was a Saturday. It was Friday or Saturday night when it happened. I just happened to be on Twitter and I scrolled past the scene. Terrell Owens was trending. So I looked at it and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, he good? And I saw the video and I watched the whole 11-minute thing and I'm like, this interaction is crazy. So basically, she's saying that he was saying he was driving to the mailbox. She claimed that he was speeding in the neighborhood. Okay, so let's start with the basis of the because I like to layer things. So the basis is he was speeding in the neighborhood, almost hit her going to the mailbox. Then that translated to, the liens on his house and who he is and his status and what she's seen him on. And then now using it as a moment to say, all right, now I'm going to keep on continue to target you. The point that, it got out of hand is when even Terrell said, the husband came out to tell her that, hey, honey, like Like, you doing too much. Like, let's go inside. Let's go inside. And Terrell was agreeing with the husband and the police and whatever. And then she said, as he started walking, oh my God, a black man is approaching me. Now you're approaching me. Okay, now that's when she lost me. All right, that's
the tears, bro.
Yeah, like that's when you lost me. That's now you taking somebody that you're trying to you're taking it as a threat now. So now you're trying to make him seem like he's threatening you. Clearly the man is on live, because you keep on saying you're on live. He's not imposing a threat. He's completely unarmed. He's not doing anything to you. And now you're doing the crack it out here saying, oh, now he's approaching me. What am I going to do? I'm like, that's when you lost me. All right, argument done. You out of there. You out of there, shorty. And I hope he moves or she moves, because you're not going to be able to live in that space.
No, bro.
Live in that neighborhood. You can't.
Well, a couple of things have happened in these cases, right? Like, the Central Park Karen, she was charged with filing a false police report.
Mm-hmm.
There have been other moments where because it went viral on social media, like some of these white women really just, they had to like leave their cities or they'd leave their neighborhood. They had to move. They had to like completely fall off the grid.
As they should.
Because they were getting harassed and people just put them on blast, you know what I mean, as a result of these interactions. So, I mean, but I'm of the thinking that this is happening still. And people are checking in, and folks are saying, look, I'm glad that T.O. had recorded this. He understands it. Like he said himself, he's seen it, but he's never been a part of anything like this. And I hope and pray that T.O. learns. You know what I'm saying? Like as high profile as you are, in my Jay-Z voice, still. You still an N-word, bro.
Right.
And that's the sad reality.
Yep.
That's the sad reality for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, here you played, you are a champion, you're a Hall of Famer, you know what I'm saying? Like you are a grown ass man, but in the eyes of this white woman, you still just an N-word that is threatening them. Let's go to what people are saying. Taylor, you checked in and said, look, self-deputized HOA Karen tried everything. Didn't she try everything, Taylor? Tried everything. Taylor, you say Karen tears are their imagined superpowers. The moment they start breaking out them tears, Jules,
right?
Threatening me. Like, your presence is a threat. Like, that's crazy. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Taylor, good to hear from you again. Thank you. Danita, you said, see how the police tell him to relax first, but didn't tell her to relax? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He get a little bass in his voice. Man, he needs to relax.
That's always.
All right, calm down, sir. She's wilding out on him. But he needs to calm down. Yep. Karina checked in. Karina, good to hear from you, sis. You said, you're a black man coming towards a white woman. That did it for me too, Karina. That did it for me.
That's the point.
One reason why I don't care for black men that pursue white women. Yes, I'm saying it, and I don't care if you disagree.
You ain't hurt my feelings. I agree. But whatever.
You're a black man coming towards a white woman. When she said that, like, that is a violation.
I got my African American queen. I'm good.
That's a sin. You cannot be a black man stepping out the car and walking towards a white woman, because thereby you are an aggressor. And the white woman can say and call you out your name. She can say whatever about you. She can throw stuff at you. But the moment you start walking towards her, now you the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. TL, thank you, Karina. Always good to hear from you, sis. TL, you checked in. TL said it would have went left if it wasn't Terrell. Disgusting for asking Terrell for ID, aka show me your papers. Yeah.
You know what, Farajii, though? And I'm gonna be 100% honest.
Let's go.
It's because it's Terrell. I get it, but he did the thing that you're supposed to do as a black man. So it doesn't matter if it was Terrell, if it was Farajii, if it was me, he went live. Because if we'd have heard about this hearsay and he didn't go live, then you would have questioned it, even if it was him. You get what I'm saying? So as a black man, let's just substitute Terrell for me. Nobody in this whole world knows me. I ain't famous. I ain't popular. I ain't play football. I ain't do nothing. So if it was me and I went live, the fact that I went live saved my argument. Because if I didn't go live, then it's her word versus mine, which we all know when the world has received, hers is going to stand tall because it's going to be her opinion versus me and the way that the world works. So the fact that he went live to record this is what exactly my mindset would have been if I was in his mindset. So it doesn't matter if he had a name or not, as long as he went live to show what was happening, is his word versus hers, because you actually see it and you actually hear it. If he did not go live, that could have went terrible for him, because then it'd be like, oh, it's not like Terrell has always been in the news in a positive light. So then it would be like, oh, Terrell Owens gets in another incident.
Right.
Details. So it's like you got to look at it from the
which is why he had to protect himself.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like
he had to protect himself, bro.
Yep,
he had to protect himself.
Yes.
Hey, look, check this out. Danita checked back in and said something. I thought this was interesting. She said they should stop calling them Karen and call them Carolyn. Emmett Till's accuser.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh. Somebody watched last week's episode.
Danita.
Somebody watched last week's
episode.
All
right, Carolyn. My name is not Carolyn. Yes, you are, Carolyn Bryant. All right, Carolyn.
I got a new shirt made.
Boy.
If we're going to do this, all right, listen, I agree with that. If we're going to do this, then Spencer has to do it too, because I bought a shirt that says "Shut Up, Karen" from Spencer. So now Spencer has to come up with the "Shut Up, Carol" shirt. I'm all for it.
That's true.
I got a new
That's
shirt.
True. I like it. Carolyn. Call it Carolyn. Hey, look, the fact is, bro, Terrell did the right thing. He showed out that he was an innocent before being proven guilty, before being, blazed in social media. But he did the right thing. But guess what? The bigger fact is this stuff is still happening, folks. You would have thought that we would kind of slowly get past this a little bit.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all. So especially for us as black men, let's keep our head on a swivel and always be cognizant of the fact that this could still happen. And it does happen, regardless of you making millions of dollars or you making $15 an hour. Guess what? Somebody is going to say that you're a threat. Right. Dang. That's what it's like to be a black man and a black woman in America. Dang. All right, we got to take our final pause. When we move forward, let's share with you some trends posted doing the most. Stay with us. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, for our final piece, we wanted to talk about some of the things that are trending right now. And Jules, first, let's talk about Iron Mike Tyson. Are you a Mike Tyson fan, Jules?
Listen, I'm ready to talk about this subject. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about it. Let me know. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. So apparently Iron Mike Tyson is not happy, folks. If you haven't, first, let me just tell you, I didn't even know. I heard about this biopic about Mike Tyson coming out, but I didn't know when and how. I didn't know anything, details about it. But apparently Hulu, the network, decided to move forward on making a biopic of Iron Mike Tyson, the former heavyweight champion. And guess what? Tyson hates it.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to talk about it.
He absolutely hates it.
Mm-hmm.
He put it out there on his Instagram, folks, that he had nothing to do with the production and wasn't paid a dime for it. That's the sad part, bro. That's the sad part. You going to do a movie about my life and you didn't bring me in at the very beginning and you don't pay me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jules, go at it. What's your take on it?
Real simple, because I know we're getting close to time. If Mike Tyson is against it, I'm against it too. You know why? Because we don't want to piss off Mike Tyson. Let me say this again. If Mike Tyson is against something, I am against it too, because we don't want to piss off Iron Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson got on social media and told us don't watch it. Guess what Jules did? I said, you right, Mike. Cancel. It's Mike Tyson. I don't want to be on the wrong side of Mike Tyson.
It's not like Mike Tyson's going to whip your ass, Jules, if you watched it.
Oh, the thought is there. Listen, remember, Tyson fought in the 90s. So when I got introduced to boxing, he was my first seeing of the boxing match. So imagine you as a kid, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, you see all the adults down sitting in front of this big TV, so you watching all these pre-fights. You finally get down there, they let you stay up late to watch it, and the fight over in 10 seconds. I'm not playing with that, man.
Hey, look, I get it. Hey, look, Tyson has become like only in America, in the name of in the words of his former manager Don King, only in America can a boxer redefine himself the way that Mike Tyson has redefined himself. Only in America, folks.
Sure.
If y'all know the story of Mike. He came from New York. He kind of had a hard upbringing. He had a coach, a trainer that loved him like a son. You know what I mean? Helped him to hone his skills, the whole thing. Only in America. And Tyson went through all of this stuff. I mean, the stuff that Tyson did, if he did it today, he would be canceled.
Oh, bro, facts for sure.
He was canceled back in the late 80s, early 90s. From Robin Givens' situation to the rape case, all of that, right? Just to how he is. He has transformed himself, redefined his whole image to now being this guy that has become like this podcast sage. You'll be speaking more wisdom and truth, and you like, in his Mike Tyson voice, that's all I'm gonna describe his voice, in his Mike Tyson voice and way, right? And he's redefined himself. He's now become a more of a cultural icon. He's been in a couple of movies, specifically the what was that? The Hangover trilogy. Redefined himself. I mean, he's lived a hell of a life, man. I listened to Tyson a couple of times, and one of the things he said was like, he had to trip on it himself. He's like, man, I lived a hell of a life. He's settled down. He's a family man and all of that stuff now, but he has lived a hell of a life, man. I would love to talk to him. Just be like, bro, how did you get through it all? From the money, the women, the fame, the allegations, everything, just all of the legal issues. You know, you were at the top of the boxing world. You fell. I mean, the whole nine. Like, we don't hear about too many. There aren't too many boxers that can get through all of that. Like, you know, we think of Holyfield. We might think of Buster Douglas. Sugar Ray Leonard is still looking out. You know, still looking good and being out there a little bit. But Mike Tyson has redefined himself in a very, very big way, and it's just like, wow. But to have a movie about this man and not bring him on,
facts. And
I'm suspect about that.
I feel like
why do these networks keep doing it?
I feel like it's weird because it's like he already did it himself. Like, I don't know if you've seen that when he does the live sit down in front of the audience and tells his story. And I think they put it on, was it on Netflix? It was one on those streaming networks.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It was like 4 or 5 years ago. It's so good. He's actually sitting on the stage telling it. Yeah, so he's telling the story. So it's like, if I want to hear anything about the Mike Tyson story, I want to hear it from Mike Tyson. Like, I want to hear from him. So it's like that's already been done. I understand paying homage to somebody, but not bringing him on, not informing him about it, not getting his intake or his perspective, and then not even paying this man for the image and likeness, because that's what you're using, because that's what these college athletes are getting. So you're not paying him for his image and likeness, because again, Iron Mike is who Iron Mike is. He's still living, he's still breathing, he's still functioning. So you need to pay that man. It's like, I don't agree with that. But again, to iterate my point, if Mike Tyson says don't watch it, Jules is not going to watch it. It's Mike Tyson.
Hey, look. Remember when Dave Chappelle was having an issue? And this was probably maybe like a year or two ago, where he was telling people not to watch the Chappelle show
on Netflix.
I think it was on Comedy Central, because he was like, they didn't do right by me in the contract. Please don't watch it.
They ain't paying for it.
They ain't paying for it.
Yeah, they put the show on the platform. They didn't pay him for it.
And I took that to heart, because I ain't watching.
Right, me neither. If Chappelle
you know what I'm saying?
And
I think that for us as Black folks in the cultural space, when the artist comes out, when the subject comes out and say, "Look, I'm not a part of this situation." I can remember movies, Jules, and you probably could think of the same thing. Like, I can remember movies like they did the Aaliyah movie that didn't get authorized. I think they had a Whitney Houston movie that came out on Lifetime or something that was like, people were like, that's not really, she didn't get the authorization from her family. Like, we shouldn't be supportive of that. I remember when, what's the sister's name that played Nina Simone?
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Zoe Saldana.
I say Zoe. Yep.
Zoe Saldana. I like Zoe as an actress. Terrible choice for Nina Simone, but that's neither here nor there. But, you know, they were making that, they were trying to make the point, like, that's, like, I think that there's a thing that when artists say, or any type of entertainer or just person of interest say, you know what, hey, I think we should respect it. I think we should respect, especially when it's their life story. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I was about to say, we got another more recent one too. I didn't watch the Viola Davis portrayal of Michelle Obama. I didn't watch that either. Because that was the whole thing. They were talking about how she used her, like how she tried to form her lips, how Michelle Obama does when she talks.
That's an acting choice, though.
Yeah, but still, I just, again, I couldn't.
That's an acting choice.
I couldn't get with it. I
think, and to that defense, I wouldn't, you know, I don't mind watching that. It's just the fact of that's just an actor's choice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
from that perspective.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, when Denzel played Malcolm X, there was still a little bit of Denzel in that portrayal, right? When you think about it.
Right.
There was still something, like he did spot on Malcolm X, right? But Denzel looks nothing like Malcolm X. Let's keep
Same thing with Jamie Foxx and Ray.
Jamie Foxx did Ray, or when Will Smith did Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have, I think we should give them the creative license that when you do somebody that we are all familiar with and that we know, you know what I'm saying? Right. That you can kind of give them a little creative license, because it's hard to play somebody, especially somebody that's still living. At that time, I think Muhammad Ali was living, Ray Charles may have been living, but it's hard to play. Like Viola Davis playing Michelle Obama. I could only imagine what it's like to play that role, considering
That's pressure.
Michelle Obama's still around.
Yeah, and she's still great.
She's still great. She's still becoming, you know.
Yeah. I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
So, you know, there's still a lot. There's still a lot. All right, let's go to
the comments, please.
Let's go to some of these comments. Let me see here. What we got? Janae, you checked in and said, "Oh, look, I hear you, Jules, but how
yeah, for X. Effing.
How effing disrespectful to portray him without his consent while he's still living." Yeah.
That's facts.
And Janae, they didn't pay him for it. He didn't even pay it to tell his story. So we shouldn't watch it.
I'm going to do the Farajii Muhammad story.
And if I'm not at the table from the first letter of the script, how you really gonna do somebody's story? They alive.
Functioning.
And you don't even ask.
Yo, it's not that they alive, but like they functioning and they're still out here thriving.
They're there probably in the studio next door. Like, yo, somebody at the table, Jules, like, yo, I could get Mike Tyson on the phone. We don't need him. What we need him for?
You need Mike Tyson.
Right. You'd be like, and, you know, the producer's looking at it like, why we need Mike Tyson? We can just Google him. Like, damn. I be saying, yo, how do you go through? Do you know the steps it takes to get something on TV, Jules?
Yeah.
From pre-production to production to post-production, and nobody said, I don't think we should put this out because Mike Tyson is not around. He has not been at the table for this.
Right.
They just didn't give a damn about my man. Damn. Real quick, Nisa, 1971. Nisa, I'm glad to hear you. You said not having Mike Tyson involved in his own story is another way to treat the brother as a commodity, not a human being. They make me sick.
Facts.
Yeah. Facts. Welcome to Hollywood. Welcome to capitalism, folks. Man. So many of you jump on me like, oh, Farajii be on. So always something bad about capitalism. But look at how capitalism has commodified the human life and our story.
Right.
So, yeah, that's crazy, though. That is absolutely crazy. Shame on Hulu for doing that, man. Shame on Hulu, for real. For real. You're going to rob people of their stories and then think it's cool. I'm glad he put it out there. I'm definitely glad he put it out there. Jules, my guy, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for riding with me this afternoon.
You already know. This all I look forward to. You know, I ain't got nothing else going on in my life.
Wow.
I'm done.
I was expecting that, Jules. I thought Jules P, hip-hop artist, activist, one of our key contributors here, culture crew member, key contributor here, Elder Culture. Jules P, thank you so much for being so good for the culture, bro. Appreciate you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for being with me and riding along with me. Make sure y'all continue to support Black Star Network at all opportunity. BlackStarNetwork.com. Black Star Network is the place for Black-owned media. This is the place where you can hear your story being told the way you want it to be told, the way they need to be told. This is the platform that you want to support. Make sure you support us with sharing the information, but we are on a big push to make sure that we are supported with financial support because we are growing. The demand is getting louder and louder. The content has to get better. And more importantly, we have to touch as many of our people in this country and around the world to tell our story and to present our case. So again, make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com to download for free and to let all your family and friends know about it. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned at the 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered with Big Brother Roland Martin. And I appreciate all the continued support that we have here of the culture. Thank you to my dynamic cultural crew members. And I thank you for being my culture crew online to continue to be a part of the conversation, providing valuable insight, and most importantly, just showing some love to a brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only on the Black Star Network. Peace.